my channel. I am so excited for today's video. I am going to be sharing my favorite books that were released in the year 2021. I did a similar video to this last year, which you can check out. I shared my top favorite books that were released in 2020, but this year I'm doing 2021, and I can't wait to share these wonderful books with you. Some of them I have shared before, and I'll let you know which ones I've shared on my YouTube channel before, but some are brand new that I have never shared here before. So I have, actually, I don't remember how many I have. Hold on, let me count. I have 19 brand new books that were released in 2021 to share with you today. And the books that I'm going to share with you today are in no particular order. They were released throughout the year, and they all touch upon different topics and can be used in different ways in your classroom. And because there are so many books that I want to share with you today, I'm going to go through them pretty quickly, but I will leave them all linked down below so that you can check out each one and bring some of them or even all of them into your classroom. But first, if you're new here, my name is Sarah, and I show up on this YouTube channel every Sunday night with read-aloud tips and book ideas for you to use in your classroom that week. If that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and hit that red subscribe button down below so that you don't miss a video. Okay, let's jump into the books. The first book that I have is called Dear Librarian. This book is really special because it's almost like a thank you letter to a librarian who helped out the author. This is a true story about her life, and growing up for a period of time, her family was homeless and they were bouncing from family members' home all around, but she found solace in the library, and the children's librarian became very special to her. So in this book, she shares how she was comforted by going to the library and how the librarian helped her through this difficult period. And this is also a great book because it shares all that the library has to offer. I think sometimes, especially in the times that we are in now with all the digital technology stuff, that people forget how wonderful libraries are, and that there is more than just checking out books. That they have activities and programs and ways for you to connect with others and learn about new things. So this is a great book to share with your class. The next book that I have is Fatima's Great Outdoors. In this story, Fatima's family is new to America, and Fatima's feeling a little frustrated that she doesn't quite fit in with her American peers, and she has a really rough week at school. Things just aren't going her way, and she's feeling a little upset. But at the end of the week, her family goes camping together. And in this time, they reconnect with each other and reconnect with nature and just have a great bonding experience with each other. And together, they reminisce about their time in India and how it was different than their lives in America. A great story about family and connecting with nature and just stepping back from the busyness of life and enjoying what and who is around you. The next book that I have is Sonias Rainforest, and I think I've shared this one before, but I can't remember which video I shared it in, but I love this book. Sonia lives in the rainforest, and every morning the rainforest calls to her, and she responds to that call. She visits with the different animals and plays with them and enjoys being with them and again being part of nature. But then one day the rainforest calls to her in a troubled voice. Can Sonia help out the rainforest when it needs her most? A great story to learn about nature and how we need to take care of the environment that we live in. This book also includes a lot of back matter, especially on the rainforest and how we can help out. So that is great to share with your students. Another awesome book release from 2021. The next book I have is called 10 Beautiful Things. And I'm gonna warn you ahead of time, this is definitely a tearjerker for me. You'll find out why. Lily, in the story, we find out that Lily is going to live with her grandmother. The story never tells us why, but she does seem sad and upset about this change in her life, and her grandmother is trying really hard to cheer her up. And they are driving across the country to her grandmother's house. And as they're driving, you can tell that Lily is feeling really sad, and her grandmother decides that they need to come up with 10 beautiful things that they see along their drive. And it helps Lily to think of the positive things that she sees as they're driving, whether it's a shape in the clouds or a special animal. This is such a beautiful and heartwarming story that encourages us to open our eyes to the world around us and see those beautiful things, even in a time of sadness. This is a great book to share with students about life changes and grief and finding the positives even in difficult situations. Another great 2021 book release. Now I have Palutero Man. This is such a vibrant narrative of how a community comes together to enjoy a delicious summer treat. In this story, a young boy is running through the city in search of his favorite summer treat. And along the way, he meets other community members who want to share stuff with him, but he says he can't stop. He's got to keep going to find this treat. Along the way, if your students pay close attention, you'll notice that coins start to fall out of his pocket as he's running. And when he finally gets to his special treat, he doesn't have any money to pay for it. But his community members rally around him to make sure that everyone gets to enjoy the treat on this hot summer day. And throughout this book, there are both Spanish and English words and phrases sprinkled throughout. It kind of bounces back and forth. So an interesting book to share with your students. Another 2021 book release that I have is Someone Builds the Dream. And this story really brings to life how architects, engineers, and artists all have these big dreams, but it takes a team of hard-working people to bring those dreams to life. So an architect designs a building, but it's all the construction workers that come together to bring that building into fruition. This is a great behind-the-scenes look at all people who work together to make these things happen, and how sometimes we don't realize how many people and how many small little jobs it takes to bring all of this stuff together. This rhythmic nonfiction book will really capture the attention of budding creatives in your class. It's a great look at different things, different jobs that they can have when they grow up. Sometimes we see these big jobs kids want to be: a basketball player, teacher, a lawyer, but this really talks about all those different types of jobs that they can aspire to be when they grow up. I really like this one. The next book I have comes from the creators of one of my favorite books, All Are Welcome. This one is called Big Feelings. And in this book, a group of kids really want to build a treehouse together. But as you know, when there's a lot of kids working together and trying to create a project, a lot of feelings are gonna come out in the process. So this book really points out how when working with others, we need to learn how to talk it out, see others' points of view, maybe make alternative plans if something's not working the way we think it's going to. And that all of these things are going to not only help us work together, but it's going to strengthen our friendships, and it reassures kids that having all of these feelings is okay, that it's important to have these feelings and how they can work through them. I think this is a really important book to share with your students, and it will prompt a lot of discussion with them. So I highly recommend this one for your classroom. The next book that I have is Milo Imagines the World. And in this one, the words and the illustrations really work together to tell the full story of what's going on in this book. So Milo is riding the subway. He starts to notice all the people around him. And in his mind, he comes up with stories about who those people are, what their background is, where they come from, and what their lives are like. And he does all this based solely on their appearance. He doesn't talk to any of them, he doesn't get to know any of them, he's just basing his assumptions off of what he sees. But in the end, he learns that it's important not to make assumptions about others because we really don't know what other people are going through. We've never walked in their shoes before. So this is another great one to start conversations with your class, especially about making assumptions about others and how we really need to get to know people instead of judging them and assuming assuming things about them based solely on what they look like. This next book might sound familiar. If you remember the inauguration from last year, this book is Change Sings by Amanda Gorman, and it's based on her poem, which is an anthem of change. And throughout the book, she shares how she uses her strengths and her smarts to make a difference. And not only are the words in this story powerful, but the illustrations are beautiful as well. A great read aloud to share in your classroom. The next 2021 book release that I have for you is one that I was looking forward to all year because I love this series of books. This is the newest book in the food group series, and this one is called The Smart Cookie. In this book, the cookie feels like she's not quite smart enough. Like she doesn't measure up to the clever cupcakes or the brilliant rolls in the bakery. But will a dash of creativity and a sprinkle of confidence be enough for her to show who she truly is? Will she learn that intelligence isn't just based on getting all the answers right or having perfect scores? A powerful one for you to share with your students that will teach them a pretty important lesson. This next book that I have to share with you is also part of a popular book series. This one is Aaron Slater, illustrator, and he is the newest member of the Questionnaires book series. In the story, Aaron Slater loves listening to stories and dreams one day of writing his own, but he really struggles with reading and writing. Letters just look like scribbles to him, and he gets so confused and frustrated. But then one day, Aaron finds his own way to tell his stories in an amazingly powerful way. And he builds his confidence and learns to share his own ideas in his own unique way. And in the story, there's also some back matter in the book about dyslexia and where the idea for Aaron Slater came from. So make sure you check that out as well when you read this book with your students. My next 2021 book release is from another favorite author of mine. This one is called Our Table by Peter Reynolds. In this book, Violet remembers when her family used to gather around the table together and talk about their days, but lately it seems like everyone is just too busy. They have too much stuff to do. They're always looking at their devices, their phones, their computers, their tablets. She's frustrated. So this book is about her quest to reunite her family and bring them back together at their table. And she encourages them to use these devices to build their table and come back together as the family that they are. And the book subtly touches upon how technology can really divide us, but when it's used wisely, it can also bring us together in a special way. Another great read aloud from 2021. This next book I have shared before. This one I shared in my video about books for National Indigenous Peoples Day in October, and I will leave that linked so you can check that out. But this one is called We Are Still Here. This story documents the struggles that Native Americans have faced in our country and highlights the fact that Native life is still ongoing. They're still here. It's not something that's just part of our history. They're still a thriving community in our country. And it really presents truths about Native Americans that everyone should know. And each one is told through the eyes of a student giving a presentation in their class. So this is one that your students will be able to connect with, and I know that they will learn a lot from this story as well. Okay, we still have a couple more books to go, and some of my favorites are at the bottom of the pile, so let's keep going. This next book I love, and it's super relevant for what we are facing in our country right now. This one is called Outside Inside. This book is a beautiful testimony to those first few challenging, difficult months of the pandemic that we faced in 2020. It talks about how everybody was outside and then all of a sudden everybody went inside. And it touches on all the things that we did inside. How we laughed, how we cried, and how we grew together. We did puzzles, we baked, we connected with each other over technology, and how even though everyone was inside, we were still a community that was working together to protect ourselves and to protect the ones that we love. And I love how this book is dedicated to the healthcare and essential workers that worked tirelessly for us and put their own lives on the line when things were really difficult. This is a good book to share with students to help them understand and process what we're going through and how we can help each other by being safe. So a good one to share with your students in your classroom. One book that was released this year really resonated with me, and I think it will resonate with some of your students as well, and they will definitely connect with it. This one is called What If Pig. Pig is incredibly kind and fun. On the inside, he has a secret. He's a big worrier. He worries about all sorts of things. So one day he decides he wants to throw a party for his friends because that's how he is. He's kind, he's fun, but then he starts to worry. What if? What if nobody comes? What if too many people come and I don't have enough food? All of these what ifs start running through his mind, and he ends up not throwing the party. But his friends come together to help him out and to ease his worries. And they also share their own secrets. This again is another great conversation starter with your class about things that they might worry about, and that we all have worries, and that's okay. This next book I've actually shared twice, I believe. It was one of the books that I was looking forward to reading in 2021, and it did not disappoint. And I also shared it in my AAPI Heritage Month video, so you can check that out to learn more about this story. But Eyes That Kiss in the Corners is a beautiful story to share with your students. It's an affirming story for Asian American children who will see themselves throughout the pages in this book. In this story, a young girl notices that her eyes look different than those of her peers. But as she looks around, she realizes that they look like her mothers, her grandmothers, her sisters. And she draws strength from these women around her to see the beautiful girl that she is. A great story to share with your students that was released in 2021. This next book I have shared before. I talked about it in my video about books for September 11th. This one is called Survivor Tree. This book provides a good introduction for younger students, and it talks about the regrowth after September 11th without going through the specific details of that day. And through the minimal words and the beautiful illustrations, we learn about how the seasons change and how things come together and regrow, whether it's a tree or a community or a whole country. A powerful story to share with your students, especially around September 11th or any time of the year. This next book is a powerful read that I would recommend for upper elementary students, because picture books are great in upper elementary, in middle school, and even high school as well. This one is called 21 Steps, and it's a powerful book of the tomb of the unknown soldier. This one talks about the background of the tomb of the unknown soldier and what an honor it is to guard this tomb. This is a really informative text with lifelike images and great vocabulary that dig into this important part of our history in a way that students will be able to understand. It is a great tribute to the unknowns and would be an awesome book to share with your students around Veterans Day or any time throughout the year. And we are on to the last book, which is probably one of my top favorites of my favorite books that were released in 2021. This one is the follow-up to the book Be Kind. This one is called Be Strong. This one teaches the various components that make a person strong. That it's not just about your muscles, but it's about what's inside of you and the things that you can do to be strong, such as showing up, speaking up, and working together to make a change in your house, your school, your community, and the world. And that even though you're small and that kids are young, they can still make powerful change in the world around them. Such an important message for kids, and would be a great addition to a social emotional learning collection of books. So another great read aloud for your class. Well, those are my top favorite 2021 book releases, but there were so many more. Because I get so excited about new books that are released, and I know that sometimes, especially as teachers, it's hard to keep up with all of them, I think that each month this year, I'm going to do a video of new books that were released that month. If that sounds like something you're interested in, type new books in the comments below. I'm so excited to share new books with you and different reading ideas. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and hit that red subscribe button so that you will stay up to date on new books and reading ideas that you can use right away in your classroom. Thanks for joining me tonight for the 2021 new book releases, and I hope you have a great week.